I am researching the growth of cancer cells. What makes cancer cells develop more sporadically, and the cause of cancer, and the different diagnoses. How cancer cells are made in the body, and what the body does in reaction towards cancer. Usually, when I first do research, I always go to Google Scholar. Google Scholar comes with plenty of peer-reviewed articles. Cells development and treatments. Treatments on second generation cancer cells. Cancer cells. Usually when I'm making research, I have to play with the idea and generate keywords to add into my research. Because the more I talk about it, the more I get my ideas moving in my head. Cancer cell. On the original of cancer cells. Regulation of cancer cell metabolisms. Usually I also like to read the little descriptions as well to make sure it is something that I'm looking for, and maybe they can add or follow into my research more. I also like to check out what other sources were used during the, in the making of the article, see if there's any anything I can really use towards furthering my research. I think the better variety, the more condensed the research can be, and the more solid, the more proof you can bring towards your paper. Cancer cells metabolism. This is for biology, and we're talking in class. We were talking about cell respiration and what's the basic functions of cells and how they react towards cancer cells. Abstracts are my go-to. Interest in the topic of tumor metabolisms is waxed and wanted over the past century. Establish the fundamental differences in central metabolism pathways operating in malignant tissue. However, the international thesis would be based on the observations for everything. Cancer cells. Cells respiration on the original of cancer cells. Thumbnails, references, preview. Let's do a study towards cancer cell respiration on carcinogens. Sometimes when I'm doing research and I don't know what some of the terminology is in like some of these scholar papers. Is I always try to research it some more. Carcinogens are usually a substance capable of causing cancer to living tissue, usually found in what types of food groups? Everyday foods, drinks labeled as carcinogens. Usually when I want to like type in carcinogen and have a better idea, like I'll go to Google again and define it. Actually type it in as define carcinogen, and then it gives me more links and variety of where I can go towards, and it gives me a little insight as well. A lot of times when I'm checking out resources, I don't use anything that ends in .com. I usually try to stick towards like library resources as well, sources that I'm very familiar with. I'll either use like the community college I go to, or the closest public library as well. And then I'll do a cross-reference in the local community library. We'll do cancer cells, respiration, and carcinogens. And usually I'll look for like a periodical. Academic health sources, nursing education. When I use like a library resource, I feel like it's easier to sort through my searches as well. I'm very precise of what I look for. Cancer cells, respiration. Add field. Cancer, carcinogens. Growth. I didn't get anything on my research after, so maybe I was a little too precise. So I tried to take a step back. I'll go with just cancer and carcinogens. Carcinogens. Breast cancer and tools. I get some resources and I'll scroll through. I always want to look at the subject as well. I'll try to skim through the abstract. I'll go check two places first when I'm looking at a link. I'll look at the abstract and I'll look at the conclusion, because conclusion is a lot more of a consolidated way to figure out what the paper is really focusing on and if it's really towards my studies or not. And I'll do academic journals. Searching academic journals. Okay. So cancer carcinogen finally gave me something in academic journals. Let me go a little depth towards the search. Bolivia, bioavailable serum software. I'm also gonna change the language as well to English. Consolidate more available software tools to facilitate systematic review used to cancer hazardous identification. Okay. Found an article about facilitate systematic reviews used to cancer hazardous identification. So I'll go through the subject. The subject is categories under carcinogens, database, documentation, workflow, systematic environment, access, abstract, object, and systematic methods to search, review, and synthesize published studies, fundamental aspects of carcinogen hazards classified, systematic reviews, and historical strengthen of the international agencies of research of cancer. Both organizations are tasked with evaluating peer-reviewed published evidence to determine whether specified substances exposed to scenarios or mixtures pose a cancer hazard to humans. The evidence synthesizing is based on object transparent published methods. That's called for extracting or interpreting experimental animals. Okay, so they do a case study as well with this. So the process involved multiple collaborations, specified health assessments, resources. Now I want to look at the conclusion. I always try to open a new tab as I go because I hate losing my resources, or I'll try to control find it. Software tools. Okay, so where's the conclusion? Conclusion is usually at the very bottom with the other resources available as well. References. To me, it's a little bit more consolidated and a lot more faster to use online resources because I can hit Control Find to find the specific keywords of what I'm looking for. The use of content managed systems to be an effective means of managing the editorial process to document substances peer-reviewed and versions controlled in multiple reversions of draft manuscripts. Various content managed systems are commercially available and currently used in scientific journals. Maybe I'm not close enough. Content management systems, no. Conclusion, there we go. The importance of systematic reviews, transparency, and public access is to inform on which the access on hazards and risk of environmental chemicals are made and widely appeared. So often you will find these products a lot more accessible than most healthier choices. Software tools designed to facilitate systematic reviews, as a discussion here, are in line with published framework and recommendations. Then it lists off some more references. Standardizing literature research. References, figure, data analysis and peer-reviewed is an important aspect of human health